Hello. We are here for another episode of The Receipts. This is episode 6 of 10. We're almost there. Today, we're talking about representation. I'll start with the story. So I put 10% gratuity on the poster. What's that about? One of the jokes when I was in school on like how you understand a bunch of the things when it comes to representation was this joke where you go to a restaurant, you're sitting there, you're ordering your food, you go, oh man, this menu is so big. What should I order? And the server goes, oh, you should get this, or you should get this. This is a really good thing. And you order it. And then at the end, you look at the receipt. This person looks at the receipt rather, and they go, okay, fish, chicken. Okay, got that. Great. All right. Gratuity. Gratuity. Who ordered the gratuity? I didn't get no gratuity. And then they call over the server, and the server's like, it's 10% gratuity. And he's like, well, what did you do? And he was like, I guided you through this long, complicated menu, which you could have done on your own, but I let you know what was good. I advised you on the best options. And now you had yourself a solid meal. So the person goes, he looks, and he pays 15%. That never happens to agents and managers. So today we're going to break down exactly what they do to get that 10%. And sometimes the percentages shift depending on like what happens with your agent or with your manager. What I would like to do today is we're going to play a game. I only have 5 questions today. And the reason I only have 5 questions is because I really want this to be an interactive episode. So like, share with anyone else you think can ask great questions in this 90-minute situation. What I'll do is while we have that going, I'm also going to shift to a couple of games, and it's just like a stock market simulation where we are going to try and simulate what it means for agents and managers to take a breakdown and figure out who to submit on their roster and things of the like. We'll pause every now and then just to discuss what's happening in the game. But before we do that, I want to share something, and I've been enjoying this idea of sharing things that I hear from different forums and conversations that I find very interesting. And Broadway Sessions on June 11th had a very interesting moment that I would like to play. Can we play Broadway Sessions?
Probably that the microaggressions start earlier than you think. Mm-hmm. They children are not exempt from microaggressions, as you can see from the poor babies that are being murdered unjustly. The microaggressions in the workplace or at school. I remember very clearly being in a Broadway show, and I remember the day that my cast members discovered that little Velcro balls could stick to my hair, and so they threw them at my head backstage. And then after that, like, I wore baseball caps. So yeah. These little microaggressions that's
not a microaggression. That hurt. That's so
yeah. I mean, it was soft, the hair is fluffy, so not a whole lot getting through, but my feelings were hurt, definitely.
Yeah.
So
yeah. What are you saying for us tonight, Marianne?
Well,
everyone, please welcome Bryn Williams. This is okay. So the video itself, we're gonna get into, but what makes it so hard, Amari has the most impossible job of just being like, "Woo, girl, that's awful. What you gonna sing for?"
Yeah. That transition between I feel your pain and we got to keep this moving. There's a lot of y'all singing. Like
we got to get through this show. But I would love for you to expound on that. Just first off, let's just talk about your career because I just find it incredible. Recently, I found out that we essentially went to the same alma mater. Even though it's an all-boy Catholic Jesuit school, you performed in their ragtime. And you went to mad proms. You were the go-to woman.
I was. It was an all-boys school, and so any girl who was high school age could audition for their school musicals. And I was very fortunate in making my Broadway debut at 12 years old, but that left me with the impossible feeling that a lot of child actors go through, which is, what do you do when you're not cute anymore? you know, when when you're too young, or when you're too young, excuse me, when you're too old to play a kid, but to play teenagers, they hire young looking adults. So I was really fortunate in that lightning kept striking and they kept meeting. Oh, we want an all teen cast and band. Oh, we actually want teenagers for this production. But there were time periods in there where I had like nothing to do, and I was equity, and the equity theaters weren't hiring equity kids. So what do you do when you go back to Maryland? And I just wanted to be on stage, and so I would go to theater camp, and one of my friends in theater camp was like, "Hey, Bryn, so I go to this school and we're doing ragtime and you would be great." And my thought was, I was homeschooled. So I was like, what do you want me to do? What, are you like outsourcing Black people for your school production? Like, I don't go there. And he goes, no, 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 it's an all boys school. So any girl that's high school age can audition. And I was like, oh. And I went, and that was my school musical experience. So I did 2 shows there. I was Sarah in Ragtime the first year. And then the second year, I was the narrator in Joseph. And through those 2 experiences, I ended up going to like 5 or 6 proms all at the same school. The chaperones were like, back again, Bryn? New dress? I like it. And I was like, yeah, you know.
It's just a little insight, but the school we're talking about is Loyola Blakefield in Towson, Maryland, and it is, at the time I was there, I don't know if it's changed a lot, it was probably 5 to 8% Black. It was a predominantly white school, and the campus could rival and surpass a lot of college campuses. That school has money, like lots of money. So I remember even that was the first place I had gotten my opportunity to like perform. I'm wrestling, like I'm wrestling for the school, and this kid comes over and goes, "Wow, I really think you should think about theater." And I'm like, "What?" Just sitting there like sweating, being like, "What?" And they're like, "No, dude, it's great. Like, it's the one place where girls come." So part of the selling factor is that you get to see girls. So, except it's just so, oh man, I have so many memories from that school, but I'm just happy to see that you were one of the reasons for recruitment. You were a good get. I also want to talk to you about the video and microaggressions. When we did an episode in the past, that was one of the things that was brought up, and I would love to know more about that from your perspective and your career.
Sure. So I probably use the word microaggressions when they are more racial aggressions than micro, just because I have this innate need to comfort others. And even when I've been wronged or there's something that hurts my feelings, I say, oh no, but it's okay because you didn't know. Like it wasn't that big of a deal. Like that's just my nature. I would say that the biggest victims of microaggressions are children because for multiple reasons. One, nobody wants to be the spoil sport. If everybody else is laughing, nobody wants to be the one to say, I'm not having fun. That's not funny. No one wants to be the one to go to the adult and tell them, hey, this is what's going on, because then it's, oh, Bryn can't play because she can't take a joke, or what's the big deal? So a lot of times kids, especially when you're talking about Black kids or kids of color in general, when they're the minority and you have 1 or 2 in a space and everybody else is white, these games are not fun for us, but we just like laugh along, and we are convincing because no one wants to be that person. Kids want to be liked. They want to have fun. And then in a professional environment, there's been a huge talk about people in positions of power and being a Black person in a room and feeling lesser than or not having anyone that you can turn to or anyone to go to. And the positions of power are stage managers, directors, choreographers, casting directors, the normal people that you would expect. But when you're a kid, the positions of power are anyone who is an adult. All adults are in positions of power over kids. So when you hear something or when you experience something that hurts your feelings, it comes from an adult. We're programmed to believe that, well, the adults are always right. they're the right ones. So maybe I'm just being oversensitive. I wrote a huge long post on my Facebook about racial experiences and microaggressions and flat out racism that have happened to me through my career. And before I posted it, I had to call my mom and I was like, hey, just so you know, I'm posting this. I haven't told you about 90% of these. And she read through it and she was like, I had no idea this happened. And I was like, well, I know. And she said, did you just not know? And I said, no, I knew. There's a mix of it. I knew it wasn't okay for some of it. But there was also part of it where I couldn't articulate why it hurt my feelings, but I knew that it did. I didn't know why or how it was racist, but I knew that it was. I couldn't articulate it. And then there was the fact that I have a very black mom, very black grandmother who are supportive and career be damned. You come out crying one more time, I will go in and shut down the whole production, like.
And you break down what it means to have a real black mom and grandmom. I'm happy you said that.
Oh, so my mom, she is the most supportive. And that's not to say that other moms are not supportive, but when my mom gets into a certain mood, it doesn't matter. It could be the president of the United States, Obama, not the one we currently have. She doesn't care. She doesn't care who it is. She doesn't care who you are. She doesn't care about herself. If you hurt her child, she sees red and she goes in. And and my grandmother especially will get into, I don't care about her career. We're not going to sacrifice her. We're not going to attack who Bryn is as a person just to save her career so that she can go on to more experiences where she keeps getting put in positions to feel this way. So there were some where I knew that it was wrong. I knew that it should not be said, but I did not want to go home and tell my mom, have my mom come into the stage management office, and everybody gets pulled into an ethics meeting and everybody knows what it's about. Because although stage managers speak in code, there's been an incident, and we're not going to name any names, but we just want to say moving forward, there will be no jokes about fried chicken made. If you're the only black person in a cast, everybody's going like, everybody's in the meeting going like this. And I didn't want that. So I was like, you know what? It is easier for me to take a deep breath, to get through this. And one day, this is my 14-year-old mind. One day I'll be Audra McDonald and then no one will be able to say anything about me. You're all going to be sorry when I'm LaChance. You're all going to. When I Anika Noni Rose my way out of this, then y'all are going to feel real bad. I'm going to tell some stories and just wait. So
I would love it if you could come on, and for the first time ever in Receipts History, Season 1, Episode 6, I would love for you to be my co-host. Williams and Williams, how about it?
Yes, I would love that. Williams and Williams, no relation.
No relation. Same state though. Same Maryland?
Yep.
Maryland in the house. We're doing this. Well, I like to say Baltimore because Baltimore and Maryland are two different things. I love and appreciate you.
They really are. But I grew up in Howard County, so I don't tell people. We don't talk about that. But I grew up in Howard County.
So let's do this. On to the program. I would love to bring out Chichi Ayawu.
Hey.
Did I kill it? Did I get it?
You did good. Proud of you.
I would love to introduce you as the founder of Chi Talent Entertainment.
Chi Talent.
I knew I was going to mess up. I looked at it and I was like, it's Chi. And I was like, no, because there's no.
It just started, so it's all good. It's all good.
No, I can't be the one. So this is a great moment. In a second first in the entire show's history, I'm going to do something that hopefully serves as an example for people who make mistakes, hopefully people who are racially insensitive and things of the like. Just take from this. Chichi, I would like to take responsibility for my actions and apologize.
It's all good.
Revolutionary.
I accept your apology.
Of Chi Talent Management. Talk to us about what you were doing before and what inspired you to create this.
Well, I was working at a small boutique management company that also produced on Broadway. So even before that, I did casting for a little bit. I worked as an assistant. I did some indie films on my own, but I've always been inspired with connecting actors and nurturing young talent. So I was trying to find the best company for me that could allow me to grow and to allow me to do what I'm passionate about, which is really developing talent and developing talent of color in particular. So I was at my company for about 7.5, 8 years. Unfortunately, I got laid off in March due to COVID. But I feel like it was kind of the best thing that ever happened to me. You know, I was trying to think about where I wanted to see myself in the next 5 to 10 years. And I knew it wasn't going to be at that company, but I just wasn't sure what it was. So I talked to my sister, she's a writer, and Gozi, she's a writer, she's an actress. And we talked about, well, how much money would it be for me to start my own company? What would the budget look like? And because she's working in television, she's like, I'll help you invest some money in your company. I was like, hold on for a second. Okay, you're gonna help me invest some money? Okay, check. I gotta do a crowdfunding campaign, and I raised roughly $25,000 to $30,000. Check. So now that money is not an option, I'm now holding myself accountable to do basically what I, had in my vision for a long time, but didn't have that.
We can't run through that. You said, I just, 25, 30,000, and then we just got it started. No, we're going to talk about, let's talk about how you strategized to get that, or what you did in your past to where that love and support was there.
Well, basically, as you know, I'm very active on social media. I have a group called NYC Black Artist Group. So it's basically a way to inspire folks. We post auditions, we post events, and it's really about just connecting actors of color. Because even when I first came to New York and I worked in casting, I noticed that they brought in literally the same 8 Black actors for every single audition. And their excuse was, oh, we don't know where to find the Black actors. I'm like, what? You don't know where to find, like, go to Harlem, go to National Black Theater, go to Classical Theater of Harlem, go to New Federal. So I started this networking group to basically also connect Black actors to auditions. Like, I was basically doing managing before I even knew what managing was. So I created this group to basically find work for Black actors in particular. And now it's expanded. And now it has like 18,000 members. And there are Asian people in the group, there are white people in the group, all kinds of actors, a rainbow of people who are part of this group, directors, writers. So I've always kind of been a connector, but I wasn't sure as far as like what that was. And luckily I found management, and I found that, I have a passion and a knack for this, of like connecting people.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I guess here's something that I find very interesting, and I would love for you to speak to this, because again, you were very forgiving of me, and Bryn also spoke on this topic as well. As a community, I find that we more often than not are in a space to forgive, no matter. Find it in a space to forgive. And I find it also with Black women that there's 9 times out of 10 this nurture, this mother and things like that. And I would love to know, when did that start in both of you?
I think even with me, even in high school and college, I've always wanted to see people do well. And I've always wanted to just nurture and help people, even when it comes to the Black theater community in Pittsburgh. I went to school at University of Pittsburgh. I was part of this Black theater company called the Country Repertory Theater. And it was really about finding Black talent for all the shows that were basically produced and written by Black playwrights. So I've always wanted to help see Black actors get ahead. So I've kind of always had that in me. Also help, I come from a big Nigerian family, and I've always wanted to create that sense of community. Because sometimes you walk into spaces when you're like the only one, when I'm the only Black person, I'm the only Black person of color. So even that need to make community wherever I go has always been in me, I would say.
How about you, Bryn?
I have 6 younger siblings. My family has always been really, really close. I remember helping my mom change my brother's diapers growing up. I've always just had that need to nurture, and I grew up watching my mom nurture, and my grandmother was a single mother, and I was fortunate that on my mom's side of the family, I had both sets of great grandparents, and I grew up, they lived down the street from each other, so I could walk from one house to the other, and it was always just ingrained in me that we do not hurt people's feelings. We don't do that. We are the bigger person. We are the better person. There is no one more forgiving than my mother's mom, than my grandmother. She is the even at a fault, you know, when it came to where, no, I'm not going to chase him for child support because, you know, it's all right.
Oh, that's my
I
mom
got
too.
this. So it's that I've got this. I don't need your money. I've got this. It's just always been there, and I don't really think it was a choice. Just given the environment that I was raised in and the assortment of people who the community that helped raise me up.
I have a question now that we've brought that in. When it comes to Chi Talent Management, or even where you were working before, how do you make sure? Because again, you're gonna have you have a lot of people submitting to you, going for it. How do you make sure that that's not being exploited?
I'm sorry, in terms of what?
In terms of nurturing, how can you still keep this balance of being loving and caring and making sure that everyone's succeeding while making sure that you have a roster that you believe in? How do you say, thank you, but I don't know if I can do anything for you?
You know, that's a good question, you know, because sometimes I'm very big on giving constructive feedback. I had a young actress that reached out to me the other day. I definitely think she was talented. And I just gave her some feedback in terms of her acting reel and her headshot. And I remember her line read, "Let's make some money." When I see "let's make some money," I immediately think spam. So I just gave her some feedback, but like, you know, maybe you should say your name, your submission. And I still think we could also just, you know, acknowledge that we got the email. Some people don't do that, but I do make sure I acknowledge like every email that gets submitted to me. If I can't do it, then maybe my intern will do it. But I do think I'm very respectful and mindful that like you took the time to email me. I want to take the time to respond and let you know that I got it. But in terms of exploiting it, I don't know. Me personally, I don't necessarily think like that. I'm very big on like, well, how can we help each other get better? Even if I don't necessarily take on the client, I want to see you do well in some way, or I'll give you some type of constructive feedback, you know?
Chi, I would love to know, can you, for our viewers, outline what it means to be a manager and what that duty entails?
Yeah, well, for me personally, because I've always been about nurturing talent, I would say on my roster, it tends to be on the younger side, people who, you know, may need more guidance. So I'm very big on like advising and guiding careers. I'm very big on the big picture and taking the necessary steps to basically further your career. Sometimes if a client's with a larger agent, they don't get the same attention from them that, you know, that maybe when you're with a manager, you can get that same attention. You know, sometimes I'm on the phone with my clients 11 o'clock at night, you know. For the most part, I don't know any agents who work in that same way. I think my clients are a little more accessible to me. So we're really more about the long term and about that nurture and kind of like connecting the dots in terms of like the client's career. But the old school tradition was agents were the ones that procured work and also like found auditions, also negotiated contracts. But now as managers, we basically do the same thing because to make clients happy, we also have to bring in auditions for them as well as the agents. So it's basically like we're working hand in hand as a team with the agent.
Chi, I'm going to ask if we could allow you to take a break, and we're going to bring someone else. And then when you get back, we're playing, and I want to see who's winning. Let's do this.
Good. Go.
You know what I should have done, Bryn? I should have opened up a betting pool. And then we should have had this opening moment where people can feel out and be like, okay, competitively, we think this person's going to win. So, the next person I want to bring out is Nicole Pryor.
Hi.
Hey.
Pryor here, Session.
Oh, I was ready for it. I was going to wait till we said the hellos, and I was going to lean in and go, they're Narcission. Is this right?
Yes.
Yes. Like,
You can't forget you married me. We can't forget.
You cannot.
My husband would be very upset if we forget him.
He's like, acknowledge me. I got you to love me. No, you started a talent agency called Firestarter.
Yes, I did.
What?
Random,
first off,
right?
Why? Because my understanding is you were on that Broadway, and then you left and said, you know what? I can do this too.
Right. So this is the thing. As a minority, as a woman, as a this business is a lot harder for us, period. There's nothing more to say about that. It just is what it is. It's a very challenging business when it comes to being a minority and a woman in this business, and in any business. It's just harder. So I started I did not seek out to become an entrepreneur. I always say I'm an accidental entrepreneur. It's out of necessity. I was a performer. I was in the Phantom of the Opera for 6.5 years. I did 2,600 shows of the Phantom of the Opera. I could still do the choreography to this day. When the show actually, so I didn't leave the show, it closed in 2012. I was in the Las Vegas company. And when the show closed, I moved back to LA and wanted to be represented across the board and do television and film as well. And they would not sign me across the board because they didn't see the transition from Broadway to TV film, which now that I'm on this side of things, I kind of understand their perspective. But at the time I was like, okay, I'm African American. At the time there wasn't a lot for my type, period. But then I heard that my other friends were having the same trouble finding across the board representation. And I had Firestarter Entertainment. While I was in Phantom, I actually created the company as a production company. And so while, in the evening we do our shows, but what are you going to do all day? And I have a lot of energy. So I was like, I'm gonna write shows and see what I can do. And I was actually an advertising major in college. I started as a music major and then I changed my major my sophomore year because I was like, I already know how to sing. I went to Pepperdine University. I'm at this great school. I need to learn something else. And so I changed my major to advertising and minored in music. And so I had that degree. And so when I created these shows, so I wrote 2 shows, one called Our Voice, a celebration of Black women in music, and the other one called The Soprano Sisters. Both shows I decided to promote and advertise to universities and theaters around the country, and during Black History Month and also during Women's History Month. So that's February and March. And Our Voice specifically was the one that we could target the most because it was an educational show. We basically told the story of African-American history through the music of African-American women. And then I cast the show with other Broadway friends. So I had friends from Mamma Mia, from all these other shows. And so I marketed it with my advertising degree and all the, stuff that I had learned how to do. It's so weird how things come around full circle. You major in something and then it comes back later to help. And so I used that degree and advertised it. We started getting booked around the country. And I was like, wait, I need a company. I'm one of those people that moves first and then realizes, wait, I need to do all the stuff to set it up. So I created Firestarter Entertainment because I needed a company not only to get paid, but also to pay the actors that were in my show. And so that's how Firestarter came to be as a production company. So when I couldn't find representation, I already had my company. And when my friends had the same trouble, there was a light bulb moment with one of my students. I was also a voice teacher for 15 years.
Oh my goodness.
15, yeah. While I was in Phantom, I taught in the day. And one of my little students who I adore, who's still a client to this day, she booked Lion King on Broadway. And I submitted her to Bender Casting and did all the work. And when they sent me the contract, it said agent on the line. And that was my Oprah Winfrey aha moment. I was like, no, I'm her voice teacher. And I was like, wait, I guess I did book her on this job. And it was the same exact timing. It was literally right after Phantom. Couldn't find representation. Her name's Tessie Thomas. Adore her. Look her up. She books Lion King on Broadway. And I see it literally in writing, Agent Nicole Pryor. And it was aha Oprah Winfrey moment. I'm going to start a talent agency. I'm going to turn Firestarter Entertainment into a talent agency. And I always say to people, give me a list and I will complete it. So I Googled, I figured out what it takes to start a talent agency and I completed that list. It took 3 months of processing, a lot of money, but I also will say as a performer, it is so important to save your money. For those 6.5 years I stayed in the show to number one, pay off my student loan debt and all my debt. And and then I saved. So I had the money to pour into my company. And so I started my company, made no money for multiple years. I was still teaching and doing my my agency. And 7 years later, now we have over 1,000 clients. I have a team of 12, and everything's going great. It's been great, other than coronavirus.
I'm always amazed at when people say, you know what, those first couple of years, nothing was happening, and now we have ...
Well, it
What?
wasn't even, it was hard. I mean, I didn't make any money at all, but the company was growing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so I love Susie Orman. Susie Orman is somebody that I follow when it comes to financial things, because it's very layman's approach to, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not like any of that, but she had a show on CNBC, I believe, or MSNBC, whatever. Her show had this, can I afford it segment? Do you remember that?
Of course. I'm a Susie Orman fan.
Realistically, and she had specific things that you had to do in order to afford something. So I transitioned that to my personal finances when I was in Phantom. I used to say to my fellow actors in the show could close any day. The show could save your money. For 6.5 years, I would think, save your money. And then it closed. And I followed my rule. I became like the financial person. Like people had to come to me because I was the one watching Susie Orman. And one of the things that I really took to heart with her was, you could not afford anything unless you had, at the time, she had 3 to 5 months in savings for your expenses. But then she changed it to 8 months when we had that crisis. And I expanded that to a year. Unless I have a year of savings, I cannot add on anything. And that included paying myself when it came to my business. So I had my set expenses for my company, and until my company could afford to pay me what I need to live, not a hefty salary, what I need to live, until my company can afford to pay me what I need to live per month for a full year. If we had zero money coming in, because you never know when a coronavirus is going to hit. So how can your company survive if no money, zero money is coming in? So I didn't add anything to it until we hit those marks. So I did not add an admin staff until we hit the mark where I could pay them for a full year. I did not add paying myself until I could pay myself for a full year. And this is if no money is coming in, zero. So we could survive any sort of hardship for a full year if no money is coming in, zero. So when coronavirus hit, we have over a full year of money saved. We could survive even if zero money came in for a full year, because that's how we operate. We operate, I believe in operating a worst case scenario at all times. You never feel rich. You never feel like you're successful. You never feel like you've got it all made. You operate as if coronavirus could hit in any moment. And that's what Susie Orman taught me before coronavirus ever happened. And I think everybody can learn from that, because that is literally our life in this business. As an actor, as a director, everybody is working job to job. Even agents, we don't get paid unless you get paid. So we're working from job to job as well. So if anything like this happens, we're all hit at the same time. So you have to plan for the rainy days.
I might vote. You might win this game. You might win. I'm gonna let you take a little break. We're gonna see our third contender. I think you might win. I think you're gonna be able to navigate this.
We'll see.
We're gonna let you go away, take another sip of that water. We're gonna bring out Matt Gogol, and then there he is. Hey Matt, how are you?
I'm good.
All right, now all of you are saying, why is Matt sitting in the dark? He isn't, because during these COVID and quarantine times, there are things that are out of our control, like the internet. So he will be here. We will hear him. He can say, oh, you know what? That's probably good too. We'll take that little picture of Matt that just showed up. Well, if it ever shows back up. You know what? I like the all black. It reminds me of that Blackout Tuesday thing. Oh, no, okay. It's a little temperamental. But Matt, we're going to go right off the bat. You were with Abrams Artist Agency, one of the coveted agencies. How does that make you feel?
Well, at A3, which is the new company name, they rebranded back in February, not to throw a little shade to start us
I
off,
do.
but
Yes, A3.
A3.
um, honestly, it's fantastic. I love it there. You know, we're a bi-coastal company in both LA, I guess tri-coastal now because we opened up a London office as well. So it's absolutely wonderful. But listen, you know, I came up from the smaller boutique world. You know, where you are discovering, developing, and catapulting actors to the next level. So it's just so wonderful to now be with them now coming on my fourth year. So I'm officially out of the terrible twos and the infant stage. I'm a full-on toddler at A3. But it's absolutely wonderful. I love it there.
Here's a question for you.
Yes,
How
ma'am.
would you describe your job specifically, your department and everything of the like?
Mhm. Well, obviously, I'm a theatrical talent agency, so I
Mhm.
work out of our talent division representing actors for TV and film. How I look at my job, though, first of all, you know, my whole thing is part of my job is understanding, recognizing, and appreciating talent. I think there's something to say about recognizing talent before they break, before they hit, before the rest of the industry uh, validates their artistry. I think as agents or managers, part of our job is to understand what is beautiful performance and how can I bring opportunities, advice, and just a path forward for that for that artist. So much of my day to day is, you know, if from a legal standpoint, my job is to solicit work and negotiate contracts. So it's to be in those breakdowns, to be talking to my buyers, whether they are casting directors, whether they are casting executives, whether they are heads of independent film studios or larger film studios, looking at what are the roles out there that they are needing to place actors in, and how do we bring those opportunities to the clients that we are so privileged to represent. Now, of course, if they go in and they win that role, or if we can create a situation where the studio or the network has to offer it to that actor, then we come in, and our main function is to negotiate the best deal. But of course, that means the paycheck that we all like. But at the same time, is that actor and is that artist protected from any different number of scenarios? My job is not to just look at what is in front of us, but down the line, if things go wrong, how do we protect that client now for something that may happen, like in a coronavirus situation where you see people have to shut down mid season or mid episode? Well, now what happens to those actors that were relying on those salaries? You know, if they are shooting in a different country, you know, part of it was how do we get them back to their home bases as quickly as possible? So I think every day is a little bit of organized chaos in a way. Um, I think as an agent or a manager, you have to be incredibly adaptable because you never know what's going to happen. But you also need to have that foresight to say, you know, if this happens in 2 or 3 years, is the client protected? And then, of course, making sure that whenever it is signing on to a series, for which could be a 6 or 7 year deal,
Mm.
for me as the agent, that's not just a deal, a commission, throw the actor on a series and then move on. You have to really sit down with your client and say, this is going to be potentially the next 6 years of your life. Do you see fulfillment in joining this character, in joining this world? Um, and then also making sure that they understand what they're signing, because those contracts can be 23 pages long.
Mhm.
Y'all's expertise is in the art end of it, is in front of the camera. My expertise is all the stuff before you sign on the dotted line. I want to make sure that every one of my clients understands what they're signing, understands what that 23-page contract is. Because at the end of the day, yes, it's our team working together, but my job is also to make sure that I'm bringing you the career that you want to go after. How am I helping you steer down that path? So it's a lot in a day some days. Every day is, filled with any number of unique circumstances. But basically, to answer your question in the longest way possible, Davon, because that's how I am.
I was going to be 2 more sentences. I was going to be like, Matt.
Yep. Basically, my job is to solicit work, to negotiate contracts, but really bring to the client the career that they want for themselves.
Here, I think we can all agree for this moment that you are an ally. And the question I have that's a follow-up, because I've been listening to what you were saying, is how do you bring that allyship to BIPOC artists looking to work with you and those who are already on the roster? For example, when we're dealing with what Bryn was talking about earlier of microaggressions, racial aggressions, and things of the like, how can you be a better ally, or how are you already an ally for those situations?
Well, I think this time in history, it's a great moment for definitely for people like myself. I am a gay Caucasian. Obviously, you can't tell that because of the black screen, which I apologize. But listen, for me, it's always about this is my time to educate myself, to really, really understand. Even I consider myself an ally, but I think with everything, and to equate this back to being an actor and working with artists, you're never satisfied with where you're at. I think there was that quote, you do better, you do your best until you learn better. Mm-hmm. and then you don't stop there. And then from there, you keep learning how to be better. Mm-hmm. So I look at it as myself as just the constantly holding myself accountable to always being better. And once I learn what that means, then continue to go from there. Mm. How I am able to use that as a way of supporting my clients. Listen, I keep a very small client list because I do want to be invested in each one of my clients. There is always going to be situations that will arise that you have to, as the agent, handle. Part of that is I am the bad cop. While you are on set, you, in many ways, you're there to do a job. Mm-hmm. If something happens, that is when I have to step in. And that's across any sort of situation. If there's any sort of tension, if there's any sort of problems that are happening on set, or if there is stuff that is perhaps in an audition room or after a general meeting, my job is to be an ally for my actors regardless. But it's also something where I think every different actor brings a certain and unique specific set that you have to adjust for. And listen, I think a lot of buyers in the market are really using this opportunity right now to once again also educate themselves. And I think there's always going to be conversations that have to be had, and sometimes uncomfortable conversations for some of us. But I think that's the only way that you get to something better, is by being able to talk about things that are uncomfortable.
That's cool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring everyone on screen. And while everyone's on screen, I'm going to ask if we can pull Rick Podell's question. We have Rick Podell in the house. Bryn, if you could read this for me, that would be...
Sure. For agents and managers, how do you handle a wonderful actor who ends up doing a bad audition that you submitted him for? I'd like to know this because I've done this.
I'm also going to say the game has officially started. This is the pregame. Mm-hmm. Everyone on this screen, that is Chi-Chi, Nicole, and Matt, have all started with 20 points. Now the goal is to keep those 20 points. In this first game, I'm going to call question, and quickly answer. Every time your question goes over a minute, I have to dock 1 point. If you answer the question under a minute, you get a point. First question has been asked.
Well, my question to the actor is if it was a bad self-tape or if it was a bad in-person audition. I know with self-tapes, I usually give feedback first before I submit. So I'll know right away if the tape isn't strong to submit to casting. But if it was a bad in-person audition, honestly, I'm very much like everyone has bad days. I'm pretty, I just want to know like, why did you have a bad audition? What happened before that? I like to know what the circumstances are, but everything's forgivable, I think, in the industry. Hopefully that's under a minute.
That was
keep my points. Keep my points.
I concur. Everything she said, I concur.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't give you a point for just saying yes. There are no yes.
Well, and the thing,
with self-tapes, we have the opportunity to view it beforehand. So I always send back. As a teacher for 15 years, I am very critical when it comes to that. And also what clients don't understand is they are part of our brand. Yeah. So casting directors, producers are all buying what we are selling. Yeah. So it is really important that what we give them is quality. So we do take it very seriously to guide our actors into a good audition. And if they have a bad in-person audition, let us know, because sometimes we can do some damage control, especially if you were sick and you might not have wanted to say that. We could come back and just say, hey, they were sick today.
That was a wonderful answer, -1. I am so sorry. Matt, do you have an answer for this question?
Yeah. Just to reiterate what Chi-Chi said, like it's something where, and as Nicole as well, is if you have a bad audition, we sometimes actors are expected to be perfect and consistent, and you are allowed to be human. Having a bad day or an off day, we all have had it on both sides of the industry and both sides of the phone. And so if there is a moment where you just have a human bad day, it's totally fine. Let us know though, because we can back channel. We do have very strong connections with a lot of our buyers. And there is a way, whether it's then going back and self-taping with a better version of it, something that you feel represents a more stronger take of what you would bring the character. But definitely speak with your team, let them know it's okay to be human.
Yeah.
That is another great answer, -1. Now we're going to keep going.
Davon, are we going on to the next question? Can I ask kind of like a tap on question, just to kind of throw a little monkey wrench in it, because I've had these kinds of experiences. Yeah. So my personal experience, I went in for an audition that I was on paper perfect for. I have multiple Broadway credits. I had a horrible audition. The show will no longer see me. No further interest. I cannot get another audition for this production anywhere. Broadway, tour, Australia, wherever it's playing, they will not see me because cannot act, does not take direction. What is step 2? Or is there a step 2 for this particular casting director or show?
Sometimes there is not a step 2, because if they are really refusing, but you can sometimes, if depending on your relationship, the talent agent's relationship with that casting director, it's very, very rarely happened where they won't at least allow you to self-tape and send something. I've had it never, I don't think that's ever happened to me where I've begged and said, come on, I think it was just a bad day, can they self-tape? But I'm sure there are going to be times that they're like, absolutely not. So there's nothing we can do if it's absolutely not, but we could try.
That was a good answer, -1.
And we're not sure.
I tried to talk so fast.
Well, the thing is, Brent, I would say in that.
I'm sorry, Matt?
Brent, I would say in that situation, go have your career take off and then let them come back to you.
Yeah.
Make them work for it when they do bring you in next time.
Yeah.
And you're going to be going in with a very different perspective and perception of who you are as an actress next time you go back in that room. So go in and have a career that makes them come to you.
And I might add, there are always EPAs in the Broadway world. So every casting director is accessible through an EPA. So you can always go into an EPA and prove and show them your work on another day.
All righty. Welcome to
I think TJ had something to say.
I agree with Matt, also with Nicole. It's kind of just like what's made for you is for you. And I'm very big on like, maybe it's not the right show for you. You know, you'll find something that you fit for, but I'm very much like, they're lost, on to the next project, you know?
All right, that is a +1 that's snuck in. We're working like The View, y'all. There's 5 of us. Get in there, you get your points, you get out. We're gonna play the 2020 theater draft hosted by Wendy Williams. Yes, it's a Williams affair. And also, Wendy is a Broadway vet. So we're doing all Broadway people, you know? So the way this works is you're going to get 5 categories. You will only be allowed to pick one. We're going to start with Matt for this first round. Can I get category 1? Celebs. So Matt, you can choose between P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Sean Combs, or as I like to say, he's a raisin in the sun and a bad boy during the moon. We have Sarah Bareilles. We have everyone's favorite girl next door, Lea Michele. We have Chris Rock, very dramatic actor. We have Peppermint, who is giving hair for days. And we have I Am Evita, aka Madonna. Matt? Oh, we might have lost him in the sound. So I'm gonna have to move on to Nicole. Nicole, who would you like to?
Okay, so
okay.
What am I doing again?
Welcome back. We have 6 people. You can only draft one. Who from this list would you pick to be on your roster? Oh, did we lose him again? We're going to move on to Nicole. Nicole, you now have first pick. Who would you like?
Oh, it's a tough decision. I like all these. You know, I'd have to choose Sarah Bareilles.
All right.
And I wanted to choose diverse, but I really love Sarah Bareilles' voice so much. I'm obsessed with her music, her songwriting, and her. I love Sarah Bareilles.
Awesome. All right. Chi-Chi, who would you pick?
I love Sarah Bareilles too. I love her music. Damn it. You picked my choice. So second choice, I'm a fan of P. Diddy too. And I know that he has Broadway street cred. He did Raisin in the Sun on Broadway. He has a huge social media following. Everyone loves P. Diddy. So I definitely pick P. Diddy as the next choice.
All right, Matt, do we have you? Oh, this is funny. Bryn, just for giggles, can you do a pick for Matt?
Sure. For Matt, let's go ahead and let's bring Peppermint in.
Peppermint. All right. I feel like Matt would pick Peppermint. Matt. All right. So that was the first round. I want to talk about that for a little bit, only because Nicole, you said you wanted to do diversity, but you stumbled on Sarah. What's that about?
So I have 2 rules when for my roster, and it doesn't have anything to do with race, gender, anything. My goal is talent, and I have to like you as a human being. And that to me is being inclusive. Because for far too long, people who are diverse have been judged by their skin color. We have all been judged by our skin color, not the content of our character and who we are. And it's so important to me in the talent that I choose. But this is the thing. I think for far too long, people have also not given an open door to people of diversity to be able to shine where their character and talent is concerned. And so we don't shut the door, obviously, to that at all. We're an open door. But when it comes to choosing talent, it all comes down to I must like you as a human being, and I must be obsessed with your talent. And so I'm obsessed with Sarah Bareilles' talent.
Nicole, you said I'm aggressive. I love to win games, but I also love to make my.
I'm I'm not going to lose at the 60-second.
Go to category 2. So now we have our female legends. Chi, you have first pick.
Okay, I'm obsessed with Audra. I had to go Audra. You got like 6 Tonys.
I
I love her, so I would definitely go with her. Talent, yeah.
Next person in, Matt, are you there? Oh, that was just wishful thinking. Bryn, you're gonna have to pick.
I think so. Can you hear me?
Oh, there you are. Okay, so just to catch you up, you have Peppermint. We had to draft you Peppermint. Now we're on a category 2. Now Audra has been picked. Out of the 4, who would you like?
Who got taken out?
Audra McDonald is out. You only have Angela Lansbury, Patti LuPone, Kristen Chenoweth, and Kelly O'Hara.
This is the thing. I do love me a sassy Patti LuPone. But I think I'm gonna go with Miss Chenoweth.
Miss Chenoweth. All right, Chenoweth. And then our last pick, Nicole. Who do you have?
My first choice was Audra. My second choice was Kristen. My third choice, Patti LuPone. So I'll go with Patti LuPone.
Great. All right, let's talk about this round really quick. What made you, Matt, go from LuPone to Chenoweth? This is hilarious. All right. Thank you, Matt. We are now going to go to our category 3. The legendary men of Broadway. Here we go. First pick, of course, goes to Matt. Matt, if you're there, who would you like? Bryn, you're tagged in.
Oh,
All right.
I'm gonna have to take Mr. Groff.
Mr. Groff. Wow.
I'm gonna have to take Jonathan Groff.
Okay. Nicole, you're up next.
Oh, I'm between Billy and Norm. Yeah. Oh, that's a hard decision because I love them both so much. I'll go with Billy Porter.
Billy Porter. All right, Chi-Chi, you're up.
I actually was thinking about Groff sauce, but since I can't pick Jonathan, I'm going to do Norm Lewis because I'm also a fan of his work too. So that's a big deal. Yeah, Norm Lewis.
All right, Norm Lewis. I'm going to go straight into category 4. Let's go to category 4. This is the hashtag Tony's so white, so let's correct it category. Our first person up is Nicole.
Philippa Sue.
Philippa Sue. That's awesome. Philippa Sue. All right. The next person up is Chi-Chi.
Quick question about this. Isn't Sergio a choreographer? Is it supposed to be actors? I'm just curious about what this.
He was a performer. He was
I didn't know.
Performing and twirling.
Gotcha. Let me go with I am a big fan of Lindsay Mendez. So I'll go with Lindsay Mendez.
Lindsay Mendez. And this final pick goes to you, Matt.
I would say Nico.
Nico de Jesus. All right. Now, I would love to take us down for a second. We'll go back in the round in which you all just picked, and I would just love to know, Nicole, Chi-Chi, and Matt, talk to me about your choices thus far, what you've seen and what you know of these people. Why did you pick them?
I think I like what Nicole said in terms of liking the person.
Okay, so round one.
That's a bit
correct. It's all good.
On a delay. Matt, we're gonna let you go because as in speak first, because I know you're on a delay. So go for it, and then once you're done, hopefully under a minute,
no problem.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Just watch. As soon as he's gonna go for it. Nicole, go for it. I'm sorry, Chi-Chi, you were speaking first. Good, give me your.
But yeah, because I love what Nicole said as far as liking the people and liking their personas. Of course, I don't really know a lot of these people personally. Some of my choices do go with like, am I going to connect with that person on a basic human level? Can I talk to them? Is it going to be a partnership? So I was looking at someone that I can actually have a conversation with and sit down and have coffee with. And also, of course, talent is one thing. And then like persona and social media following is a big thing. I know with people like P. Diddy, he has a huge following. They put him on Broadway because of his following, because of his influence. So that idea of having someone who can also make you money is also a big part of picking clients as well.
Nicole?
Exactly the same answer as Chi-Chi. I mean, even our host, Wendy Williams, for the show, clearly not a Broadway performer, singer.
No.
That's not what she does, but she was on Broadway because of her following and beautifulness and all of that other stuff. And not even necessarily an actress, from her background. So, same answer, likable, being able to sit down with your client. It's a relationship. I think people don't understand that this is a relationship, and we are in this relationship for the betterment of the client's career. And so that we have to get along in that relationship. I think life is short otherwise.
No.
All righty. Matt, if you're there, say, hey, how you doing? All right, great.
Oh, Matt.
Now we're going to go to this final round. Don't bring it up yet. Don't bring up the clip yet. I want to thank you all, but we actually have a fourth player that you'll be competing against. Can I get category 5? This is called the up and coming category. And the fourth player is Bryn Williams, who will be playing and pitching herself unrepresented in this next game we're playing. So Bryn, you get first pick. Who do you pick? Yourself? Oh my God. Congratulations. So you only have 4 more people to choose from. This is a group of nice, young, up and coming actors who are all currently in the Allen and Gray Musical Theater Festival that is happening this week. Now, know that you do not know these people. So what I will say is if you would like, you can call a name and I can read their bio to you.
All right. Can you please read Jennifer's bio?
Jennifer's bio? All righty. We have Jennifer Sun Bell. She is humble and excited to be a part of a show called Freedom Riders. There's no great time, she says. She is in a winning new musical called Comfort Women, a new musical, and as the infamous pirate lord Ching Shi in the new musical Glass Ceilings. Offstage, she was recently seen in CBS's NCIS and has worked with the amazing Jim Carrey and Kristen Bell. She also has an EP that's coming out, and she is SAG-AFTRA. All right, who's next?
Let's hear from John.
John Devereaux. He is a member of AEA. He believes that Black Lives Matter, and he is currently, well, they're on quarantine, but still, I like to say currently, in the national tour of Hamilton. And I know there's a million tours going.
One of them.
All right, who's next?
Let's hear from Asia.
Asia, yes, Lord. Okay. Asia is extremely pleased and excited just to be out here in life, as she has graduated from American Musical Arts Academy in 2016. She has played the fairy godmother in Cinderella, Jojo in Cherchez La Femme, Cassandra in Alex and Eugene, and Christine Day in the Phantom of the Opera, Aida and Ella Baker in Bayard. All right. She is a member of Actors Equity Association. We have gotten through all of them, and now our first pick goes to Chi-Chi.
We didn't do Anthony, did we?
Oh, we surely did. Oh my goodness. Anthony, if you see this, I did not. How could I? Oh my Lord. Anthony, Broadway credits, Hadestown, Be More Chill, Nationals Tours, Fiasco, Theaters, Into the Woods, which I thought was incredible. It was like a stripped down version. Very controversial. The Book of Mormon, he did Bull, CBS. The other 2, Comedy Central, Law and Order, FBU, NBC, and Blue Bloods. He is a AEA SAG-AFTRA member. Chi-Chi, you have first pick.
I have a question. Did you say he was on tour with Hamilton?
Yes, he was.
Okay. So, I'm
And
obsessed with Hamilton. So I would say someone like him who has a good resume, but also look-wise, he's definitely a great type. And he's someone that, because my roster is small and I'm looking to diversify my client list, he's someone that I don't necessarily have on my roster. So he's definitely someone that I would look into having a meeting with.
break this
Let me know
down.
him.
You see this headshot, and you were able to pull all of that with those credits. Tell me how you got there.
Just as far as like, there's something about look-wise, he has a great headshot. Because sometimes I feel like, especially if you're at a smaller place, they look to have people that kind of fill in the blank sometimes. So in terms of his age, where I think he looks like he's maybe early 30s, early to mid 30s. He's someone who might be a little bit more seasoned, someone that I, probably could maybe work with. So there's so many things based on the look, based on the credits that you read that like, oh, this could definitely be worth a meeting.
All right. I'm gonna go to Nicole. Who do you pick?
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm going to lose this round because I would have to first, number one, I'd have to see some sort of footage on them, especially when it comes to musical theater. I always need to hear and feel what they do more than a resume, because that's what makes me excited is their talent. It's really, really hard for me to just pull out a resume. Resumes are great. Pictures are great. I love all of them by their resume and their look. But I really I need to feel something when it comes to their talent. That's the thing for me. It's like, that's what blows me away. Do what they do.
I love that. So with that being said, I incredibly respect that. I already gave you a -1, but I want you to win. So based on what you have.
Really, I don't think it's fair because it's not a fair assessment of how I choose talent. Like truly comes down to their talent, their actual talent, like, and then also us meeting and getting to know their personality and who they are as a human being. Like those, when I say that those two things really matter to me, those matter to me more than a headshot and a resume.
Get it. Okay, Matt, are you there?
Oh, Matt.
Bryn, you get to pick between Jennifer, Anthony, and Aja. Who you know all three of these people really well, so you can totally do that. Who are you picking?
Between Jennifer, Anthony, and Asia, knowing what I know about them as performers, I'm going to have to go with Asia.
Asia, all right. Asia it is. And we can pull that down. All right, so we have our game, and Matt, you were really aggressive. But before we get into it, I would like to pick up Tamika White. Tamika White has a question. Bryn, if you could tackle this for us.
Can you guys even hear me?
Now
we can hear you now.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm so sorry. The audio, I only get like every second or third word. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Better yet, what we'll say is, take it easy, Matt. No. We need you here. We need you here. If not, we'll always just play for you. You know, that's how online games work. And like you said, when we did our one-on-one interview, you got to be ready to take on anything. Just like I have to take on these loud sounds of New York. Bryn, get that question for me?
Sure. Tamika White would like to know, are agents and or managers solely dependent on the model of having had major credits, social media following, but have talent regardless of age?
I'm trying to figure out the question. Do you mean that?
I'm not understanding.
Like, for example, are you saying like, let's say you have talent, but you don't necessarily have strong credits and you don't necessarily have a social media presence? If we're still
I think that's what they're asking. I think that's
what it is.
Yeah. Well, for me personally, I work with a lot of like up and coming talent. They may have just graduated from getting their master's or undergraduate, or people who need more access to like TV and film auditions. So I'm definitely open to all levels of talent. I do take a peek at social media just to kind of see how you like represent yourself. But it's not really about, oh, you have 100,000 followers, so now I want to sign you. But it's more about like just getting a feel of your personality before I meet you. But I definitely think, if you're someone who's super talented, I could definitely take a meeting. I don't know if I'm going to sign you right away, but you're someone that I definitely would want to meet with and just see, check out your reel, check out your credits, and see what else you can do.
Yeah. I totally agree with Chi Chi, and I'm so excited to meet you because we could tag team. I'm so excited to have an agent.
Let's share clients. Let's share clients together one day.
Exactly. And yeah, not only
You're first. We formed a sisterhood.
we're on the page, that's
All
so
right.
we have a team. So yay, Chi Chi. Love her.
Now that the draft is over, I would like to read everyone's points. Bryn, you have 20 points. Nicole, you have 16 mighty points. Chi, you have 22 points. And Matt, you have 20 points. You were really going for it. He has a negative and a plus. I thought, so in those moments that we could hear him, it was wrong. Let's go to our main event game. Now we have 20 minutes left, and that's by design because I want to put the pressure on you. We are playing Castamon. Gotta book them all. Could I get the second slide for Castamon? Now, this is how Castamon works. Every round, you're going to get a casting breakdown. Your job is to submit the person you think can beat out everybody else. Now, if you lose a round, you have to drop a talent. If you win, you get a bonus, which means essentially something's going to happen to that person and you'll have to make a decision for more points. However, after a round is over, when we get to the next one, you cannot submit talent from the round before. You have to wait an entire round. So far, so good?
I think I need an example.
So for example, we can pull this down. We're doing the Prince and Into the Woods, like Anthony. In this situation, it will behoove Matt to throw in Anthony. Let's say I'm playing as someone and I throw in myself.
Gotcha.
What I would then have to do is figure out if I booked or if I didn't book. Now, the question is, who's making that decision? Not me. We actually have, and I had to sign the NDA yesterday, we have a Broadway director, we have a Broadway producer, and we have a friend of Nicole's who are making votes. So what happens is every round, one of them are randomly selected. They will pick who wins. Now, can we pick up that slide again? Because this is important also.
Yeah.
Now, Chi Chi, you're a manager. So you have one skill that you can use only once this entire game. It's called developmental, in which you can develop a smaller, let's see. So your talent right now is John Devereaux. You can take John Devereaux, you can pitch him, and if someone picks somebody that's stronger, you can use your developmental skill, and that person automatically becomes celebrity caliber, which means they can pretty much beat out. So far, so good?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Now, Matt, with the A3, you have the power move of packaging, which means the person you use from the last round can be a backdoor person to be accompanied with the person that was cast, meaning you're essentially offering a 2-for-1. Nicole, you have the fireball for Firestarter. Get it? The way this works is you have a hidden figure that's working for you, which means no matter what happens in that round, you win if they're in control. Okay?
Okay, I think so.
All right, let's pull that. So far, so good?
Let's do it.
You know your secret powers?
Yeah. So with mine, it's a hidden figure, meaning that you just
win.
You just win. So I can only use the superpower once.
You can, well, you don't have any control over your power, which means it's that person's in play, which means you can play your strongest or weakest person and still win. However, you won't be able to use them for the next round. So we'll never know when they come into play. We're just going to play 3 rounds. And if Matt gets here, he gets here. Can we get the third slide? This is the point system. Now, when you're submitting your talent, you can pitch them, which means the producer and director that's listening, if they like your pitch, it can play in your favor. You can do backdoor swaps, meaning if someone pulls in someone that you think is going to beat you, you can swap out that person to preserve them, or you can swap someone in you think's going to win. So far, so good?
This is a lot.
That's all. We'll be able to bring all this up. We'll be able to bring all
a lot.
And don't worry about the categories. We'll deal with that later. Bryn, you have no superpowers, but you can pitch yourself as many times as you can without losing a point, okay?
Yeah.
All right, great.
All right. Our first casting is The Witch and Into the Woods. So I'm going to have you look at your list, look at who you have. And while you're looking at that, this is what I'm going to say about the witch. Oh, wow. The internet is not on.
So wait, what list do we?
The people that you drafted, you have to figure out who you can put up. Yeah. So key information about the witch.
I didn't write down who I drafted.
Don't worry, I did it for you. So you have Philippa, you have Billy Porter, Patti LuPone, and Sarah. Wow. Okay, that's a lineup. All right. Is anyone unclear about the witch in Into the Woods?
No.
Bryn, who do you submit?
As me, Bryn,
You have to submit.
I would like to submit Bryn Williams.
Awesome.
Aw.
I didn't hear you. What?
Nicole, who would you like to submit?
Oh, can you say my people again? I have Billy Porter.
You have Billy Porter, Patti LuPone, Sarah Bareilles, and Philippa.
Okay. Ooh, this is a hard one. I choose for the witch in Into the Woods, because of the time that we're in, I would actually choose Billy Porter. I would love to see him as the witch.
They should do that. That would be
Wouldn't that be so good?
He has played the witch.
Oh, he
before,
has.
I believe. I was looking at my records. I see a record of it, but he also, in his studio album, I think it's On the Corner of Soul and Broadway, he references a moment where he did audition for that. It's a really good story.
He's so good in that role. Oh,
Matt,
Oh.
thoughts and prayers, you know. Just can't. I sent out the casting call, and you know, sometimes agents don't get back to me in time. All right. Now, would anyone like to pitch their client, or would you like to just let it play?
I would love to pitch Audra because she is the queen diva of all queen divas. She's a Broadway legend. She has 6 Tonys. There's just no competition. It's Audra McDonald, who's now doing TV, by the way. She's a series regular, I believe on The Good Fight. So she now has crossover appeal. Audra, that's basically it.
Would anyone else like to pitch?
and if we pitch, we lose a point, or we.
You lose a point, but every time you win a round, you get 5 points.
I don't think I need to pitch Billy. I think just submitting him alone is already a statement. I know why I submitted him without having to pitch him.
Okay. Bryn, would you like to pitch?
I think I'm going to pass on pitching and let the talent speak for itself in the room on this one.
All right. You actually got a follow-up question, Chi-Chi.
Yes.
Chi-Chi, here's the follow-up question.
Yeah.
Would Audra be able to do this with her? Oh my goodness, we even get to see him. Would Audra be able to do this with her schedule?
I would make the producers make it work for her because she's Audra McDonald, and hopefully they'll be flexible enough to do that. Because Audra.
That's your answer. All right, Matt. Just to remind you, you have Kristen Chenoweth, you have Peppermint, you have Aja. Is it Aja or Asia?
Asia.
Asia, thank you for that. Asia, and you have Nico de Jesus.
And Jonathan Groff, right?
Oh, did he freeze? Oh, no, there he is. Who do you pick? Oh, no, I think he's frozen. Matt, we're going to say thank you for that interview. I feel like this is so unfair to you.
Maybe you can put it in chat. There's a chat section.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
We can write
private chat, and then we'll take it from there. So Matt will be playing as a ghost. You know, 8-3 just really has that power. All right. The vote is in. So the first 5 points goes to Nicole.
Woo!
Nicole, why do you think you won?
Because Billy, the time that we're in, number one. Number two, Billy Porter is clearly on fire. Number three, he would kill the role. I mean, number one should be that he would kill the role. He's perfect for the role. It's perfect for him. And then everything else falls in line. The time that we're in and who he is as a person. His career is literally on fire.
So let's talk about timing then, because this is something that I tend to like think about a lot. Is there indeed a time and place for everything? And let me just break that up a little bit more. As in, when it comes to Billy Porter in this situation and people being more understanding, is Billy Porter getting this witch casting more of a fad, or is it us finally getting closer to equality?
I think it's the latter. I think we're getting closer to where we need to be. But I mean, where we were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it's all time. You know, everything that we are facing as minorities in this world, it's literally a progression of time. You know, we have to get better and better and better as we grow. Everyone thinks that we're going backward, but it's not that we're going backward. It's always been here. Everything that we're facing has been here. It's just been uncovered. And so because it's being uncovered, though, we can face it and overcome. So everything that's happening for Billy Porter, it is timing, because right now we've advanced enough to be more inclusive and to let him celebrate who he is, and we too are on board to do that.
Yeah. A follow-up question: how much, and this goes for both of you, how much of your job is reading the tea leaves? Like you said, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, maybe not, but now you said absolutely. How do you really figure that out?
I don't know. I think it's
what do you say?
reading,
what was that?
Like he's asking, like, how much of what we do is magic in a way, like that we're kind of just figuring it out.
Well, more so just reading the tea leaves, because the idea is that you have to understand the situation. So how much of that work applies?
Yeah, that's a tricky question. I feel like with me, like I read everything. So reading Playbill, reading Deadline, seeing where people are going casting wise. I just heard that they're now making, I think, Batwoman Black, and I believe she's bisexual. So there's so many things that we're reading about in terms of casting wise and how people are making a point to be more inclusive now. So just trying to figure out, okay, how can we also support our clients and know that, hey, there is something happening right now. There's more opportunities for people of color. Let's also make sure that we're also pitching you even more so now than, we were already doing it before, but even more so now, they're looking at new people, they're looking at new faces. So,
and we can move that needle along. From the beginning of when I started this, I was always very open to submitting outside of the box, submitting my clients outside of the box, understanding that if I saw a role that clearly might be for a Caucasian person, or I would try my best to present options outside of the box. And that in and of itself can move the needle along, because there are times that we don't have to stay within that box, and we can help them see the role differently. Yeah. It's a give and take.
I appreciate that. I'm sorry. I was looking at the clock. I have to make sure. I got to make sure I'm obeying the time. Are you all ready for your next casting?
Sure.
We are doing Hamilton.
I love Hamilton.
They lost their Peggy. There's Angelica, there's Eliza, and Peggy. So we are looking for a Peggy Schuyler. And this is what the breakdown says. This is a real line from the breakdown. The Michelle Williams of the group. Chi-Chi, you're first.
Oh, this is a hard one. But if we're talking about being more inclusive, let me throw P. Diddy in there. Let's see if P. Diddy can put on a dress and see what he can bring to it.
Time's out.
We're having fun.
You think P. Diddy, take that, can't stop, won't stop, is going to be like, I will stop my life to put on a dress, sing, and then
I would love to see P. Diddy in a dress. I'm putting that out there. I would love to see him in a dress.
I will be shook if you win this round. Bryn, who are you submitting for this round?
Who am I submitting for? Peggy.
Yeah.
I would like to submit Bryn Williams for Peggy.
It's a great choice.
Thank you. I only have me on my roster, right? Did I mess something up? Huh?
It's only you.
It's only me. Okay, cool. I didn't want to come across as self-absorbed, being like, I can play anything. I literally have one person. So we're going to work with this client until we book something and get more.
Nicole, who do you pick from your roster?
I'm going to go with Sarah Bareilles.
You think Sarah Bareilles. Now, I want to mind you. Okay, this is interesting.
I do have Philippa, but she's already in the show. So we can't.
This is the tour. She's already gone on to do other things, but would she come back to play Aunt Peggy?
I would say no. I don't think she would, and I don't think she should. So I have to go with Sarah.
Okay.
For the people in my roster.
Is there anyone right now who would like to pitch?
I shall pitch.
All right, Brett. Go for it.
All right. Bryn Williams is an actress over the age of 18 with a young look. She has played Violet Beauregard in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, so she is known for playing younger than she actually is. But
Bryn, you can
currently
stop. You got
playing
5 points.
Huh?
You got 5 points. It's already
I
decided.
It was good.
You got it. You got it.
Yay!
That's fast.
You did
There it
good.
is. All
I
right.
think you're perfect for that role, Bryn.
Yeah.
And we
Very
have
true.
our
Fingers crossed, I'm
final.
trying.
We have our final round. Are you all ready? We're doing the national tour of Wicked. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I jumped out of line. Bryn, you're going to love this. There is a revival. They're doing the revival of SpongeBob SquarePants. And they are looking for a SpongeBob. They are open to any and everyone. They want to laugh. They want someone who can sing. And they want someone who can bring it and carry a show. Bryn, you're first. Who do you submit?
I believe for the role of SpongeBob, I would like to submit Bryn Williams.
Bryn Williams. That's a very interesting choice. Nicole, who do you pick?
I pick Miss Patty LaPone. Let's do it. I think she's great. I think she can kill.
Chi-Chi, who did you pick?
I think I'm gonna. Can I do the pass situation?
You
I don't know
can.
if I have anyone. I'll do the pass. I don't think I have anybody. Fortunately.
Now, this is great. How often, and this is what I was waiting for, how often do you see a breakdown and go, you know what? I'm good.
All the time.
It happens a lot. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Even with like your roster.
It's cast. We can't look crazy in town. You know. Again, like our what we do as agents is part of our. It's our job to give the casting directors and producers what they are asking for.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do take liberties when it comes to certain things, but we can't be crazy town because at the end of the day, they will be back for more. And so we have to be really careful and that we are giving them what they are asking for. It's important.
Exactly.
How many times on your roster can someone say no?
As much as they want.
Actors.
Yeah. As much as they want on my end, because I feel like you're the one that's auditioning. If you're not comfortable with the auditions that we're bringing you, you can say no as much as you want. We're going to keep on trying to find something that you fit for. So I'm fine with people saying no.
I'll say you could say no as much as you want until I agree with your no. And the reason why I say that is because we're a team and we're in this together and it's a relationship. So I think it's really, as you can tell, easy going, fun, whatever. At the same time, we have to be aligned in our vision for your career. And so if I'm somehow sending you material and auditions that are not aligned with how you see yourself, then I clearly am not the right representative for you because I don't see what you see. And if we have a conversation and I'm still not understanding it, you still are unhappy with what I'm presenting you, I think that means we might not be fit for each other. Does that make I think it's really, like I have clients who I always, like when it comes to musical theater specifically, I won't represent clients who are just interested in doing regional theater because for me, Broadway is a big thing. And so if your goal is just musical theater, and I mean regional musical theater, great. I'm so happy for you, but I'm not the agent for you, So I think your goals have to be aligned with your agent. Who you see yourself has to be aligned with your agent so that together we can navigate this world. And so, yeah, you could say no as much as you want, but it has to be aligned with the vision that your agent has as well.
All righty. Bryn, in these situations, how many of your friends go out here unrepresented?
I would say I know more unrepresented friends than represented friends. And I try to say, hey, would you like to come in? I try to connect them with my agents as much as possible. But really, I know so many people who are unrepresented just waiting for either that one gig to hit or for someone to believe in them and their talent because they just moved here 6 months ago. And also, so many of them don't quite understand their brand yet. And so they'll go in a certain way and it just doesn't match, or they get the feedback that we have a lot of people in your category, which is legitimate, but it's in order for them to really get representation, the ones who do find that person, they're the ones who have been in New York for a while, who say, you know what, it's almost like they get to a point where they say, I'm just going to do what I want to do, where they are their most authentic selves, as opposed to going in like a job interview. My name is so and so, and I went to this college. And it's when they finally relax, like Morgan Freeman in Shawshank Redemption, when he's like, I don't care what you do, I've been here so long. Like it's those moments.
So here's my question to our manager and agent. In this situation, let's say you have a lot of people of the same type or something like that. You see someone and you're just like, God, I have a lot of this type, but God, I'll take them. Do you end up looking at the talent you already have and going, I might have to let you go? Or do you just add them to the list?
Oh, that would be terrible if you did that.
I know agents. I know.
Yeah.
I don't believe in the type thing,
Yeah.
because I believe that every single person is individual. Even twins are not the same person. And so the only time that I limit the type on my roster is when I'm having trouble with a specific type. I'm not going to add someone else into that trouble. If I can't get out this one type and I'm having trouble with the clients that I have on my roster in that type, I'm not going to add. I'm just going to be honest and say I'm already having trouble in this category. And why would I bring someone else into that trouble? You know what I mean? I'm already struggling. But with the rest of the roster, I have a lot of people I would say that are similar types, but all of them are working. You know what I mean? Like, because they're different. Like when you could have two twins walk into a room and speak to that casting director, speak to that producer completely differently. And I feel like I said before, when we didn't see those people's work, I couldn't choose because I have to see and feel their energy to know who they are. I don't know you by the way that you look. That's not who you are. Mm-hmm. It's everything that we're talking about with race and gender and all those things. That comes down to how you look on the outside. That's what we're all trying to get away from. And that's what I think type is. Like, it's like, stop putting people in a freaking box.
Yeah.
Every single person is an individual.
Yeah.
And, so I don't play by that game, because every single client on my roster is uniquely and beautifully different, and I love them all for what they bring to my roster.
Now the last question. Yeah. This is a yes or no.
Sorry, I get really passionate about that.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Nicole needs a TV show. Let's put that out there. Give her a talk.
Have you ever poached a client?
I've never intentionally poached a client, but I have met with clients that unfortunately after, they met with me, I know, oh, you actually do have a manager. Oh, you actually do have representation. So I haven't done it purposely. Like if I look on someone's resume, I'm like, oh, you're with the manager. I always ask a question about what's the problem with their current representation. So I try not to poach. I know I don't want my clients to be poached. So I don't really respect that. Yeah.
Nope.
All righty. There we go. We have our answer, and the winner of that final round is we're going to be seeing a revival of SpongeBob SquarePants with V. Patti LuPone.
Nice.
Now let's talk about these final points. Now that gave you 5 points, Nicole, which again, you gave us detailed answers. You said, I'm going to make sure that these people understand at the expense of these points. And it put you at 22. Now, Bryn, you took first until that last question, and then you were so thorough. You said, I want you to understand, and that put you at 23.
I'm not gonna lie. I've got a lot of time.
Chi, one of the wisest things you did is go, I'm good. With 24 points, you won. In the first 6 months of your management?
2 months.
2 months. 2 months. It feels, the thing is again, you're just so known. I'm just maybe it was 7 months ago, but you were definitely no, 2 months. So in 2 months, you had a very big major win. Hopefully this was really helpful to everyone watching and everyone that will watch later on when the video is shared and pushed. I want to again thank you all for coming on. Thoughts and prayers with Matt Gogol and his internet over in Los Angeles. And as you may or may not know, we're using all this information to build a Black Theater Matters bill. And at the end of all of this, what we plan to do is take all that information, go to our unions, go everywhere else and say, hey, we believe this is the right path to move forward. Will you submit this? Will you get the job done and help us get to a more equitable space for everyone? Hang backstage and we can talk for a little bit more. But for everyone watching, thank you. Have a good day and let's get it done, y'all. Take care.